Hello, it's Monday and you're watching ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines. Holidays cancelled, trips rearranged. A special report on the passport delays faced by hundreds of anxious families in the southeast.
People are arriving here at the passport office hoping this will be the way to get their passports sooner. Will they arrive in time?
The family of Archie Battersbee await a decision on their son's future as they fight to stop his life support being switched off.
Another Kent MP says he'd like to be Prime Minister. Gillingham MP Raymond Chisty joins Tunbridge's Tom Tugendhat in the race for number 10.
And how are you coping with the hot weather? A health warning is issued as people brace themselves for temperatures to keep rising. Good evening. Hundreds of families are facing a long wait for passports because of delays in processing them.
Pre-COVID, the wait was around 3 weeks, but that's risen to 10 weeks due to a rise in applications. Now travel restrictions have been lifted.
But ITV Meridian has discovered some people are waiting much longer than 10 weeks and have had to cancel or rearrange trips abroad. With our story, Mel Blaw.
Yes, people are being advised to allow up to 10 weeks to receive their passport, but in many cases the 10 weeks come and go and still no passports. As a result, some people are choosing to bypass the usual application routes and coming here to the passport office for a fast-track appointment. Today, despite the heat, there were queues of people, some waiting 2 to 3 hours, all desperate to get their passports in time to travel, whether that be for a long-awaited holiday, to visit a sick relative abroad, or for an important business trip.
Tried numerous times to contact them, emailed, had it expedited, upgraded, still no phone call, nothing.
I've tried to get hold on to the passport office. They didn't get back. Every time I call them, the line just keeps closing.
Very frustrated. I lose my ticket and my brother is seriously ill. Back there I have to go. So I'm very frustrated.
Well, unfortunately, the fast-track appointments are only an option to those who haven't already started an application. For those people, I'm afraid, it's just a waiting game.
Thank you for calling Her Majesty's Passport Office. We now have the information we need. We will continue with your application. If we need more information, we will contact you again.
A pre-recorded message heard thousands of times by frustrated holidaymakers, all wanting to know one thing: where are their passports? Kevin Gorey, Hind Estefanos and Julia Wordsworth have listened to the message almost every day. All three waiting for passports, but no idea when they'll get them. Along with her husband and new son, Julia Wordsworth was due to travel to Canada on the 24th of June. The purpose of the trip to see her father, who has health issues, and introduce baby Samuel to his family there. Julia applied for her son's passport on the 16th of April, but it didn't arrive in time, so she had to cancel her flights and rebook for later in the year.
Now we've spent £2,200 on a new trip that we weren't planning on. We will eventually get a voucher back from Air Canada for $1,700 for the original trip cost, but, you know, an extra $500 is a lot of money. It's just so frustrating.
It's been 5 years since Kevin Gorey and his family enjoyed a holiday abroad together. Their trip to Gran Canaria is booked, but Kevin is still waiting for his two daughters' passports to arrive, despite applying for them at the beginning of April.
I got my passport back within about 3 weeks, and it's 12 weeks for my daughters now. So clearly they can turn it around in a short term. It just seems to me like it's mismanagement in the Home Office. They can't seem to get everyone responses in the same amount of time. 3 weeks versus 12 weeks doesn't make sense. We have the accommodation booked, we have the flights booked. It's just stressful waiting for the passports to arrive.
Hind Estefanos applied to renew her passport in March, but after weeks of toing and froing due to her dual nationality, she tried to withdraw her application and asked for her travel documents to be sent back to her because of an urgent need to travel to Palestine. But it took a further 6 weeks for them to be returned. And to add to the problem, her Palestinian passport was lost in the post. With less than 6 months remaining on her British passport, Hind has been too scared to leave the country for fear of not getting back in.
Why do we have to pay for this? We pay it from our, health, our valuable time with our families. I can't tell you how much my family here, my family abroad, my co-workers at work, my friends, everyone is just stressed out. It's just not right.
Well, the government says the unprecedented demands for passports is caused by people delaying their applications during the pandemic. Currently, the Passport Office is processing around 250,000 applications every week. Between March and May of this year alone, 3 million applications were processed. That's the highest number of passports issued on record. In total, it's estimated around 9.5 million applications will be made this year. Well, the Passport Office has increased staff numbers by 650 since last April. It's in the process of recruiting another 550. So there are now over 4,000 staff in passport production roles, but they're urging people who need a new passport to get that application in as soon as possible to ensure it arrives in time for their trip. But to end on some good news, I do have an update for you on the woman from Edenbridge who we featured on the show a couple of weeks ago. Celia Evans had been waiting 5 months for her passport so she could go and watch her son play in the Youth World Cup in Sweden. She now has her passport.
Mel Blore at the Passport Office for us. Other news now, and train drivers has voted overwhelmingly to strike over pay, increasing the threat of disruption to South Eastern services this summer. More than 80% of ASLEF members balloted in favour of a walkout. The union said many have not had a pay rise in 3 years, but added strikes are a last resort.
Possible travel disruption on the M22. The Operation Brock contraflow system has been reinstated ahead of the summer getaway. It enables vehicles heading to the port of Dover or Eurotunnel to queue on the motorway during busy periods.
A warrant's been issued for the arrest of a man accused of drugs and vehicle offences in Sussex. 30-year-old Ashkan Kalhori, also known as Ashley Khan from Saltdean, was due to stand trial and has absconded from court.
A doctor has told a judge that she believes it is not dignified to carry on the life support treatment of 12-year-old Archie Battersbee. A High Court judge is deciding whether turning off Archie Battersbee's ventilator is in his best interests.
Archie has been unconscious since April when his mother found him unconscious at their home in Southend. His family are fighting to keep his life support. Charlie Frost was in court for us.
The central issue now, to use the judge's words, is the timing and manner of Archie's death. Even though they both hope for a miracle, we heard from Archie's parents today that they now accept it is unlikely that their son will wake up. Both gave evidence in court today for the first time since this series of court proceedings began just over 2 months ago. And when questioned over what they would like to happen next, they said they would like their son's death to be as natural as possible, but they did not want the life support to be switched off. His mother Holly saying in court it would haunt her for the rest of her life if the ventilator was switched off. Instead, they proposed that treatment carry on as it is, but with a do not resuscitate order in place, which means if Archie went into cardiac arrest, that his doctors would not try to save him. His father Paul saying in court, "We haven't had time to process it. It's all been so rushed. I don't want my last memory of him for him to be slowly shut down. If he was to go, as his mum says, in God's way, I know it will be a peaceful death." But the NHS trusts that run the Royal London Hospital, where Archie is being treated, disagree. A doctor giving evidence today saying that if Archie's treatment was to continue, he would likely die from an infection, which would be chaotic and unpredictable. Instead, the Trust is proposing a planned death where Archie's ventilator is switched off and his family are able to be there and hold him. This, they say, is a dignified death. But ultimately, the decision of what's in Archie's best interests is up to a High Court judge, and he plans to deliver his decision at this court on Friday. Charlie Frost, ITV News at the Royal Courts of Justice.
Now, 2 Tory MPs from Kent have said they want to be the next Prime Minister.
Tom Tugendhat from Tunbridge in Malling launched his campaign at the weekend, and he's already thought to have the support of around 20 of his colleagues.
And now Raymond Chisty from Gillingham and Rainham is standing too. Over to our political correspondent, Phil Hornby. Phil, Mr Tugendhat first. Has he got a chance of winning?
He's doing OK at the moment, Andrew. He's scrapping for the support of the same group of MPs, really, as Jeremy Hunt. There's a sort of mini battle going on between Mr Tugendhat and Mr Hunt. And so far, I think Mr Tugendhat is winning that little battle. He, like most of the candidates, has produced a video to launch his campaign. Some of them have been kind of Oscar-winning, slick videos. Mr Tugendhat's more simple.
We know that trust in our politics is collapsing. We're facing a cost of living crisis at home and threats abroad. We need seriousness and integrity back in our government. It's time for a clean start.
He's a former soldier, very keen to emphasise his military credentials, as he did when we caught up with him.
I've spent the best part of 15-20 years serving my country in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, in diplomacy, and now in Parliament. I've demonstrated that I can lead.
As I said, he has the support of quite a few MPs here. He very much has the support of his local Conservative association. We spoke to the chairman of it in Tunbridge and Malling today.
He is very sympathetic, but he also delivers. I was out yesterday canvassing in my own ward, and I knocked on the door and I met a young lady who was in tears about how grateful she was at the things he did in terms of helping her personally. We need a man who brings people together. Tom engenders huge amounts of loyalty.
Mr Tugendhat's candidacy came as no surprise. He told me 5 years ago he wanted to be Prime Minister, but the announcement from the Gillingham and Rainham MP that he wants to stand too did come as a surprise. This is what Raymond Chisty told me a few minutes ago.
I would not be here if it wasn't for the great people of Gillingham and Rainham placing their trust in me to bring about change and be their strong voice. But what Gillingham made very clear to me was they wanted politicians who can get things done, who are on their side. We all have to step up, and I put myself forward to let my colleagues decide, if they want my skills to take our great country forward on a merits-based system.
Phil, it's a crowded field. Anyone else planning to run?
There's quite a few who'd like to, including John Barron, the MP for Basildon, and Bill O'Rickey, but it all depends on decisions being taken right now in the building behind me. The committee of backbench Tory MPs are setting the rules for this contest, including the timetable, but also, crucially, how many MPs need to be supporting each candidate for them to be allowed to stand. It was 8 last time, it could be as many as 30 this time. That will put paid to Mr Barron and probably to Raymond Chisty as well.
Phil Hornby, thank you very much.
You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you so much for watching us. Coming up, as Brighton prepares to host the Lionesses, we meet the women who are playing football with pride.
And baking on the beach. With the temperature rising this week, we're finding out how to cope in all this heat.
And remember, you can find more on today's top stories from right across the southeast on our website. Please go to itv.com/Meridian. You can call us on 0808 1010 095. The number's on your screen now. And remember, you can also follow us. That's on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram.
A safety campaign to encourage parents to check toys, household gadgets and keys is underway to ensure button batteries are safely fixed in place.
Yes, one mother whose toddler swallowed a battery is behind the calls. He required life-saving surgery to remove it after becoming stuck in his throat. Matt Price has more.
Yeah, good boy.
Holly Phillips is so careful about the toys her 1-year-old son Ralphie plays with. There are no button batteries here. Yeah. She knows he's lucky to be alive after swallowing one just days before his birthday, which required emergency surgery.
The surgeons came in and they said he's alive, but the damage was worse than we expected. You know, it was in him for almost 24 hours. It burnt away his esophagus towards his lungs. I went from having a fully weaned 1-year-old to my son being in intensive care on his first birthday, being fed through a tube.
And while toys sold in the UK have to conform to strict safety rules, Holly's speaking out to warn other parents about the dangers of button batteries, small, shiny and round. Figures released to ITV News show 38% of parents in the southeast wouldn't know what to do if their child ingested a battery. 41% say their child has been able to get hold of one.
We know that 2 children have died in the past year, and children's doctors are increasingly worried about the number of cases that they're seeing and the severity of the injuries, life-changing injuries to young children.
Campaigners have released this hard-hitting video. It shows how much damage and how quickly a button battery can cause. They're using a piece of meat to replicate the organs of a child, and experts say spotting the signs is vital.
They could have tummy ache, they could be off their food, they could be a bit withdrawn, just not right, and then they could end up vomiting blood, which is clearly a sign that there's already quite a lot of damage that's happened.
Ralphie is now happy and healthy and keeping mum on her toes.
High five. He's doing incredible. He's a 2-year-old who has put me through it and will continue to put me through it.
He's getting ready to celebrate that 2nd birthday in August. There'll be presents aplenty, no doubt, just none with any batteries inside. Matt Price, ITV News.
Glad he's okay. It's 17 minutes past 6 and the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. With the details now, here's Charlene White.
Coming up, temperatures soar across the UK and it's only going to get hotter. As the Met Office issues a rare extreme heat warning, temperatures could top 40 degrees this week. Things are hotting up too in the race to become the new Conservative Party leader. We'll have the latest on that.
Oh dear God.
We'll speak to the British man who filmed this dramatic avalanche. And it's a reunion we've all been waiting for as Kylie and Jason return to Ramsay Street. Join us for those stories and much more from 6:30.
It's a good day to my sporting neighbour now, Sarah Gom. And Sarah, you're hoping to see the Lionesses roar tonight?
That's right, yes, thank you very much, Andrew. Yes, Brighton's Community Stadium will host its first Women's Euros game tonight as England take on Norway. Organisers hope that the tournament will spark a real take-up and encourage more women into the sport. From Falmer, James Dunham reports.
Showing off their talents and showcasing how goals to make this game attractive to everyone are being reached, Brighton Seagulls FC, as an LGBTQ+ side, must pass as one of the most inclusive grassroots teams there is.
It's made a massive difference to my mental health and general well-being.
It's been brilliant, a great way to make friends. And just
Izzy and Florence are 2 of this transformative squad.
It is so important that people see other people like them being involved in football, whether that is playing, officiating, behind the scenes, operations, whatever it might be. You know, there's a role for everybody in women's football.
We've had like 4 or 5 more people join since I've joined, and they all come along and they really enjoy it. And hopefully we just continue, you know, getting more people to come along.
£50 million of lottery funding is supporting teams for women and girls, which along with the Women's Euros taking place will, it's hoped, create a legacy.
The legacy is about creating an opportunity. So for me in particular, everyone over the age of 16, we often see a drop-off of girls playing sports, maybe they don't want to play competitively. So it's about using this tournament to provide as many opportunities. It doesn't matter how old you are. Do you want to play small-sided football, walking football, a bit of soccer size? So it's about making sure that we're putting football where women are.
And tonight, women's football will be in Brighton as England's Lionesses take on Norway.
It's just fantastic that
the attention, recognition is finally here, and everybody wanted this, and it's great for the country, it's great for the England team, and it's great for football in this country, so it's fantastic.
This side will continue to make as much noise about the game even after the Women's Euros are complete. James Dunham, ITV News, Brighton.
Brilliant stuff there. Well, ahead of tonight's game at Brighton, England manager Sarina Wiegman says all her focus is on winning and entertaining.
It would be really nice if we win, because then we're really comfortable in our group stage. But yeah, we take it from there. We don't look ahead already. We want to get through, play our best game, do our best, and hopefully that brings us the 3 points.
Yeah, hopefully it will. Good luck, England. And it's great to see the community stadium in the spotlight.
Certainly is. Thank you very much, Sarah. Yeah. Great stuff.
Now, have you ever wondered how to grow the perfect strawberry? Well, the University of Greenwich and Heatwave Farms near Maidstone may have the answer.
They're trialling flexible solar panels on polytunnels that would still let light through. Tony Green has been to find out more.
The quality of the strawberries grown here cannot be compromised. But this crop is part of a trial where the sun not only helps fruit grow, but provides power for the farm. Existing polytunnels have been fitted with new flexible solar panels. Researchers want to see if they can generate enough electricity without affecting the strawberries that grow below.
It's become a very useful thing for a farm to be able to generate their own electricity. So ideally, we'll be able to show this large farm that it's a practical proposition, but also that they can achieve the net zero targets. We can increase our UK solar generation potential without covering more land with solar panels, and they should be able to power their increasing use of automation, their worker housing, their irrigation, even in a remote location. We find out really the basics of whether you can fit the kit and what the effects of it are, but hopefully it demonstrates to the market at large that you can do this, and then the UK can really use this technology to improve our food security and our energy production.
Heatwave Farms have been growing strawberries in Kent for 125 years, but it's not stuck in the past.
What's interesting about this project is it's very much cutting edge. We have a need to automate a lot of the growing jobs around the farm, and increasingly we want those to be powered by electricity or certainly renewable sources of power.
Obviously the fruit grown here has got a very good reputation. Were there concerns about how this might affect production and quality?
Well, that was our first thought, obviously. We don't want to do anything which affects the eating quality and the flavour and the taste of a fresh English strawberry. The plant needs light to make the sugars that go into the fruit. So one of the first things we want to test is that there's no detrimental effect on the flavour or quality of the fruit. It is possible, using one of the other types of solar panel in the project, which actually allows some light through, that you might even get enhanced quality of fruit, perhaps better nutrient quality or enhanced sugars. So we're looking at that as well.
Because the panels are lightweight and flexible, they can be put up easily and moved around the farm.
I've never seen anyone do this. It's been talked about for years and years and years. I think what the driver is this time is the economics for solar has completely changed. So beforehand it was cover as much as you can, make as much power as you can because the feed-in tariffs are great. Now the feed-in tariffs are far lower, but your import costs are absolutely humongous now. So if you can not import, then you're not spending that money in the first place.
Innovate UK granted £250,000 to fund the research, which could help farmers achieve net zero carbon emissions.
I think the industry is moving towards net zero. I think that there's also a bit of pressure from the consumers, and everybody's more aware of what we're eating and what we're wearing, which also ultimately comes from, some part of it comes from agriculture. So I definitely think that we're moving towards net zero, but I think that we can do it at a faster pace.
The flexible panels is just one of 3 aims of the project, but with the current cost of energy, this research could shape the future of farming. Tony Green, ITV News, East Peckham.
So the strawberries are enjoying the sunshine. What about the rest of us?
Well, Abigail Bracken's been seeing how the southeast has been coping as temperatures climb into the 30s.
It's been uninterrupted sunshine here in Brighton all day, and you can see that's brought many people to the beach here, taking advantage of the slightly cooler temperatures here by the coast. But as the Met Office has now issued an amber heat health warning for the south for this week, doctors are warning beachgoers to take care.
I totally understand wanting to go to the beach. It's lovely, but please make sure you take shade. You can take an umbrella or something like that. Make sure you keep on putting the sun cream on. It doesn't last that long. And make sure you take plenty of non-alcoholic drinks with you to drink.
On the Kent coast in Herne Bay, swimmers have been enjoying the cooler temperatures in the sea. And here in Brighton, the weather means good business for those that rely on tourism, like fish and chip shops.
The weekend was absolutely fantastic, and the sun for our business is the best thing to make our business work. That's what we need, definitely what we need, and it brings everyone out, everyone's happy.
And here in Brighton, some tourists have been rather surprised by the glorious weather.
We were expecting to be a bit colder, a bit rainy, but we are here for 1 week already, and the weather was wonderful.
I am just enjoying the beautiful weather and the sea. I love to swim, I love the sun.
In Sweden it's like 25 degrees and here it's 30, so that's pretty crazy. I thought it were going to be like 15 with rain and hurricanes.
There's certainly no hurricanes in the forecast, but the Met Office is now issuing an extreme heat warning for Sunday.
Abigail Bracken there in Brighton. Yeah, well, normally we do get rain, but at the moment it's hot, hot, hot. How hot? Here's Amanda Houston.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello again. So the hot weather continues to be a talking point as we go through the next few days. Although for a time, temperatures will turn slightly fresher. There's a cold front working its way southwards, although you'll not really notice too much. And then by the time we get to the weekend, the heat returns. Only this time it's hot air moving up from the continent, and it could get even hotter in places. So much so the Met Office do have an extreme heat warning in force. Some difficult conditions Sunday and into Monday. So do make sure you take extra care. In the meantime, though, still hot out there at the moment, and as we go through this evening and tonight, pretty quiet out there. It stays dry, a mix of clear skies and cloud, and quite a humid feel for many of us. Temperatures there between 17 and 19 degrees. So that's going to take us into a warm start to the day tomorrow morning. We are expecting to see a little bit more cloud compared to what we have seen throughout today, but overall it's another fine looking picture out there. Hazy sunshine as we go through the afternoon, and once again very warm temperatures. Highs there 31, possibly even 32 degrees, so extreme heat. And as I mentioned earlier, it will turn a slight bit fresher on Thursday before the heat returns as we move into the weekend.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
So if you're a hay fever sufferer and sensitive to grass and nettle pollen, we're still expecting high traces of it on Tuesday and also on Wednesday and Thursday. Take care out there. Bye-bye.
In just a moment, we have the ITV Evening News with Charlene White.
But now, though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much for watching. Whatever you're doing this evening, try to keep your cool. It's hot out there, and join us again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.